Hello and welcome to the second series of NSN Connect, and in this series, as you are aware, we are focusing on the big picture of CSR and we are reconstructing it by highlighting important aspects of CSR with reference to the recently published book called Doing Good, Navigating the CSR Maze in India, and we have with her the author herself, Ms. Meena Ragunathan. So in this episode, we are going to look at skill development, vocational training and education, and how CSR is positively impacting various initiatives in these areas and creating the impact we want to see. So let's go ahead and look at how CSR has been creating a sustainable impact in the skilling space through livelihood enablement through skills and education in India. And also we will look at how non-profits and other organizations can approach the corporates and apply for the CSR funds and partner them to help them implement their projects in the skills and education space. So ma'am, going back to your book and also sections on CSR for skilling and education, where you have spoken about the importance of using these funds for skilling and education, where we are talking about the demographic dividend of India, making youth employable, and helping people from the disadvantaged sections through skilling. And there are a whole lot of goals which are there, the social goals, the development goals. So in this context, we would like to know more from you about 2 or 3 points which I will quickly tell you. One is there could be a lot of non-profits and NGOs who might want to contribute by way of actually doing the training because they have their reach at the grassroots level. They probably would want to set up a training center and utilize the CSR funds from a corporate organization, and they may not be really aware of how to do this, and often they even send us queries if we from NSN can help them in some way. So this is one scenario which I wanted to tell you. And the other scenario is we are aware that quite a few corporates have set up their own foundations internal to the organization to implement their CSR funds. And is there a way, training partners who are non-profits, in non-profit kind of organizations, can they go and join these corporates and run that particular foundation if it happens to be in skilling, or let's say something to do with education or even entrepreneurship promotion? So how do we go about this? Could you please clarify these aspects of CSR?
Right. This is one of the most important relationships in the emerging CSR ecosystem is this relationship between the corporate and the NGO. And it's a difficult relationship, Madhuri, and there is not 100% trust on either side. So at one level, corporates feel that because the law is very complex, the corporate feel that NGOs are not able to cope with the requirements of the law. Their proposal is not in the format that it is required. The reporting is not what they can report upwards, or the timelines sometimes are loose. Sometimes the budgets are not very clear. There is some lack, there is some discomfort, I would say. On the other hand, NGOs feel these guys, first of all, there is at a fundamental level, one slight feeling that all corporates are wicked. Okay, let's put that aside because that's a very Indian thing. Apart from that, they feel they simply keep on asking us to revise our proposals. They coming and checking every third day what it is, or they ask for this data today, that data tomorrow. They put so much pressure. They don't understand development processes. I mean, they don't understand that change that you bring about on the ground level does not fit into timelines like this. You may want to improve the quality of education in a government school, but how many factors there are which which are challenges which you have to overcome. So without any idea of ground realities of social change, they are trying to dictate. They think it's a manufacturing process. you put the raw material and so many products will come out. So there is a discomfort on both sides. But what is happening is through this whole CSR thing, they are coming together. Yeah. Willy-nilly, they have to work together. There is advantage for both to work together, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the good news, and slowly it is evolving. But I would urge NGOs, since we are now talking to NGOs, is really to understand the law itself. Just putting in a proposal and feeling very aggrieved that the corporate is not responding positively is not the way forward. Now, first of all, understand who can CSR. The law is very clear. The CSR activities can be carried out by the company itself, by a registered public trust, a registered society, or a Section 8 company. And now, all of these have to fill out what is called the CSR 1 form. Absolutely mandatory if you want to take up a CSR project. So, one is understand the law. How much is the CSR budget of a company? What are the requirements of reporting that a company has to face? Where can it do? What kind of activities? Who is the decision maker? One really has to understand the CSR law. And then one really has to understand the company that you're approaching. It can't be like a form letter. 100 emails simply sent with the same proposal and same cover letter. It doesn't work. Do homework. Is this company interested in skilling? Then you go with a skill proposal. What kind of skilling? What areas of skilling? What geographies are they working in? What is their core strength that they can bring? Because all companies would like to contribute, not just money, but actually their technical know-how, their employees to be engaged. So study the company and then develop a tailor-made proposal, I would say. Because believe me, companies are looking for good NGO partners. But we have to present the case in a way that first applied their mind, and we will be able to work together to give the impacts. Understand what the company wants to do, why it wants to do it, and let the proposal address that. And what I also feel is and companies do a lot of due diligence of NGOs. Because there is really no single way that you can say this is a good trusted NGO. Why do they tend to go to big NGOs? Because they've heard of it. A lot of people talk about it. They're in the papers. They can't be bad. But they don't know about smaller NGOs. So, presenting one's credentials. Who are your board members? Who are your track record of partners? What are your track record of having successfully shown impact? What are your impact assessment reports? I think that kind of a credential presentation is very important for a company to be able to trust and come forward. Yeah. So these are some of the things, and even very trivial things, Madhuri, like relating your proposal to the Schedule 7 that we talked about. Say how it fits in, which number, quote that, and say that these will give impacts on this. Or when do you put in a proposal? Yeah. If you put in a proposal in September and start asking after 15 days, is my proposal passed? No, because the cycle is a financial year. CSR projects begin on April 1, end on March 31st. Okay. So you actually have to be in dialogue with the company and say, when is your CSR committee meeting? When is your board meeting? When are you going to approve it? What's the cycle? Yeah. And then you put it in. So some understanding on both sides to understand the other party will lead to, and I discussed that quite a bit in, say, chapter 7 of my book. Okay. Because I understand that this is, one of the major areas of, and unless we strengthen this, that's the hope, right? That impactful programs will happen on the ground. Yeah. So it must be strengthened.
Yeah, and since we are talking about skill development, technical education, there are a lot of ITIs also which are benefiting with the CSR funding, right, of big corporates. Like you just mentioned, it's not just the money, but it could be the faculty, it could be the infrastructure, it could be many other things like the building itself or the lab, the practical sessions, isn't it? So what is your perception about this phenomenon, ma'am, where we would like to see more funds coming in to improve the ITI system in India?
Absolutely. I think ITI is the backbone. short-term skilling programs are good, but ITI is the backbone of what has to be strengthened. And I've seen some interesting experiments, but one must always understand that in formal education system, the pace of change, say of syllabus, of pedagogy, all of that is difficult. It happens when it happens, as it happens, and one has to have the patience to do it. A corporate can come in and put in the newest equipment, which is one of the things that they should do, because ITI equipment is usually 3-5 generations back.
Yeah.
So working equipment, training the teachers, but just by doing short things, it won't change. It will take its time. One has to work with patience with the system, along with the system in trust and cooperation. And this is where I think also, we dream, and we in the skills system always talk about the dual system, right? We quote Germany. And so, somewhere we have to move towards that, where, students are in the classroom for half the time and they're actually on the shop floor for the other half.
Yeah.
Unless that happens, and how are we going to reform education system to enable that? Is it even practical? But to what extent can we make it happen? I think that is very, very important till they get real life exposure on real equipment, working with real products. I don't know, maybe summers they spend, something has to be done. Apart from change within the ITI, all of which is required. But and apprenticeships, not a part of CSR, or maybe some part of the money can be paid from CSR. It's a very, very required thing, right? Now the government of India has really, is trying to enable apprenticeships, but companies are not taking it up. They don't seem to even know about what apprenticeship is and what the scheme is and how it works and what support they can get from the government. So I think moving towards a more hands-on approach in a factory environment, apart from strengthening the environment in the classroom in the ITIs, apprenticeships is the other thing.
Yeah, so this is another area of focus, I think, right? In the beginning, I think in one of the initial introductions, you also spoke about impact investing, the other nomenclature which is being used. So is this all being used interchangeably, or when we say CSR, it just struck me because in skill development and education also, we talk about impact investing, we talk about other forms, right, from where the funding can be explored. So are these being kind of used interchangeably, or is there a difference? Apologies.
So impact investing, or when we look at that, this thing, basically you expect a return, right? When you use the term investor, you expect, of course, impact investing expects much lower return than regular business.
Yeah.
So they expect small financial return, and they expect environment and social returns. Now, CSR is not supposed to
get into
so impact investing, I think, takes a slightly different route. So skill training institutions may be funded by impact investing, and they are very often. But the CSR money has to be used for actually maybe doing the skilling without expecting a return.
Yeah. And also I was asking you about the social enterprises. So by nature, a social enterprise cannot approach or rather seek CSR funding, isn't it?
Yeah. So if you look at Schedule 7 today, it doesn't explicitly give you the ability to support social enterprises, right? So I would say tread with caution in this, because the law is evolving, changing, and as the environment changes, they are changing the law. So, but today the strict interpretation, I would say no. So you could, there are ways to get around it, right? So in GMR, we had a small entrepreneurship, women entrepreneurship. You train women, they make products, they set up as a, it's kind of a social enterprise in that. They set up a cooperative of their own. So we would support the training, the equipment and things like that. And then, also the marketing, but not get into the money loop.
Okay.
Their transactions are theirs.
Okay. But it was still supported through CSR. isn't it?
But some components.
Some part of it.
Training component or which are perfectly women empowerment kind of and livelihood entrepreneurship. So it's a gray area. Yeah. What we put under social entrepreneurship and what we put under CSR, let's be careful.
Okay, and also is there anything that we can learn about, when it comes to entrepreneurship promotion? Because today we are talking so much about linking skills with entrepreneurship. So is there some way the CSR funding can also help in promoting entrepreneurship, especially small entrepreneurs, micro, small and medium enterprises, rural entrepreneurs?
I think it is possible. For instance, if somebody needs a basic input of money to set up their enterprise, it can be interpreted as a livelihood support, right?
Yeah.
And it is done, but you have to just structure it as, or giving something that everybody does, giving sewing machine, which is such a traditional CSR philanthropic charity activity. Yeah, sure, it's supposed to help that person in their livelihood, micro entrepreneurship in that sense. So yes, I think it is perfectly possible to give grants to identified selected people with proper outcomes and impacts that are then measured.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. We hope you found it useful. In the coming episodes, we are going to touch upon other aspects of CSR. In the meanwhile, do subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any updates from us. I look forward to be in touch with you. Thank you. Goodbye.